Good morning. Welcome to Morning Java. I'm Lance Lysowski, joined by Audrey Snyder.
Didn't see that one coming.
It's been a while.
Definitely has.
Should have started the pan on me and then panned over to her just to make it somewhat of a surprise.
We'll give Benson a little work.
No, it's perfect timing, Audrey, for you to come to our Highmark Stadium studios.
Because everybody's gone.
Yeah, well, that and the NFL Combine. And I think not only all eyes in, I would say Pennsylvania, but all eyes in the country when it comes to NFL fans, Saquon Barkley is going to be one of the players to watch. Because you see what he can do on the field, but this is the time, you see the 40 time, you see all of his measurements.
The bench, the broad jump, all
that. You mentioned one of your stories last week, I believe it was, just that the measurables he has, he's already been measured. Everybody at Penn State already knows what he can do.
And at this point, Lance, I think the rest of the world, in talking with Penn State's strength coach earlier this week, Dwight Galty, said, this is old hat to us. I mean, you look, Barkley's name is plastered atop Penn State's video boards, where he's got just about every team record, I think, except for his vertical and maybe one or two other measurements. I think, and I will not be surprised if he runs a 4.340. He's done that at Penn State. So you always kind of wonder about the times, the testing, all that kind of thing. But what does this mean for him? I mean, at this point, consensus top 5, maybe top 3, maybe number 1 overall pick, depending who you ask.
No, that's a good point. He's one of those can't-miss guys. There's really not an injury history, at least not that I know about.
Very minor.
He's like the nicest kid ever, pretty much. And when you watch the tape, I mean, there was the decline in production maybe later in the season where maybe the numbers weren't there. But, of course, an NFL executive or scout or general manager, they know the reasons behind that.
Yeah, oh, for sure. And I mean, this is a guy who just checks every single box. And I think you look now and you say, okay, what could be some of these possible landing spots for him come April? And you got to wonder, Lance, top 3. And I think we'll dig into some of those when we come back.
Is Saquon Barkley going to play for the Browns?
You got to look for Lance and say, okay, they got picks 1, picks 4. If they don't go with a quarterback at 1, presumably it would be Barkley. However, the Browns being the Browns, despite the changes that they had, which lead me to think that maybe they won't be the Browns.
They're talking about trading the pick already.
Well, so say,
let's not grab a quarterback.
Package it all together, try to slide back. But I really think if you look at it, if you're going for the best player available, the whole theory of you don't take running backs early, they're not worth it, that myth has been debunked as you look at these previous draft classes with guys like Todd Gurley, Ezekiel Elliott, Leonard Fournette. And Barkley, I was on a Mike Mayock conference call earlier this week, and he said that he'd make the argument that Barkley is better than all of those guys. So I think then you say, okay, if the Browns do whatever it is that Cleveland historically has done, which is anyone's guess, then do you look at the Giants at number 2?
They haven't had a running back since, I'm not going to say Rashad Jennings. Tiki Barber.
Tiki,
Barber,
for sure.
Ahmad Bradshaw was really good, so. If you're the Browns, though, you're rebuilding, you don't have an offensive line, do you really want to draft a running back whose shelf life might be 5, 6 years of the best football?
It's tough, and I think the Giants, when they spoke this week at the Combine, they said, okay, that Eli Manning, they think, has some good football left in him. So, again, there's a lot of posturing that happens at these types of events, but maybe that is their way of saying, hey, we're not going after a quarterback, which then you think, okay, Barkley, who originally was from New York, has family there, then moved over toward the Allentown area, Whitehall, Copley. That'd be very close to home for him.
It'd be fun to watch.
And if he doesn't go there, 3, does he get past the Colts?
He doesn't want to go to the Colts.
I mean,
nobody wants to go to the Colts.
I just don't think that you'll still see him on the board at number 4, Lance.
Barkley's not the only Penn State player at the Combine.
8 of them in total.
8. And I am interested personally in seeing how Gesicki performs because, covering Pitt like I did, he had some success against that team, to say the least. And I think that he has all the intangibles to be a really good NFL tight end if the blocking piece of it can come together. But tight ends aren't being used the way they used to be used.
Right, and I think that's the point, Lance. I think when you look at this draft class, and it was a number that Mike Mayock threw out there this week, and what Mayock says I usually take to the bank. I mean, this guy's a guru. He spends way too much time looking at this stuff. But he estimated that 90% of the tight ends in this class are basically oversized wide receivers.
That's how the college has changed. A lot of teams aren't running pro-style offenses, so they're going to these guys like
You
Gesicki.
want the mismatches. I think Steelers fans, they know that. They saw it with Jesse James, and you take that inherent risk of, okay, this guy will be a difference maker. He'll win the matchups. When the field gets smaller in the red zone, he'll have a chance to produce. But just know that with the blocking, you're going to have to do something else. So I think Gesicki will probably be the second Nittany Lion off the board. This is a guy who could go second, third. I'd be surprised if he'd slide to the 4th round. But he will open a lot of eyes this week with his testing numbers. This guy was a McDonald's All-American in basketball, was also an All-State volleyball player. So you're going to see, I'm sure his vertical is going to be through the roof. It was at Penn State. You'll see that again. I think you look at Penn State's secondary, Christian Campbell, the cornerback's the guy who's garnered a lot of interest. You look at it, he's got the NFL size. I think he'll test pretty well. They want to see how he runs. I think the speed will be the big thing there. But this is, a largest contingent that Penn State's had out there in quite some time. So you look at it, and it's kind of the depth. And I think for all of these guys, it's how do you make a roster? Well, right away, it's got to be special teams. I mean, that's how you got to do it, right?
Yeah, Gesicki's the one that I'm just most interested in. I think will really, especially with the combine, the way the testing is, I think he's going to shoot up the board. Especially he's very sure-handed. A lot of teams are looking for a tight end like that. So
at least he was last year, Lance. We'll see if history comes back to bite him. But no, I think he's made really good strides. And you look at it, I think he can be a difference maker. But when you look at it long term, you have to see. But I think that's why it's so much of a crapshoot. But it's a fun crapshoot, Lance, and it's fun to talk about.
Audrey, it's time for our What's in Your Cup segment, when we survey the readers to pick a Morning Java segment. Ask your question in the comments, and we can answer your question. This one is from Tom. Tom asks, what do we think the Steelers will do to replace Shazier next season? That's Ryan Shazier. Of course, Kevin Colbert told reporters at the Combine on Wednesday it was, that Shazier is not going to play in 2018. So
yeah, shouldn't be a surprise, but it's officially official.
Yeah.
So I think you look at it, and the name that's out there, Lance, the hot name that I had to make sure I could pronounce because this one might be important. Boise State linebacker Leighton Vander Esch. That's a name to keep an eye on as you watch kind of the Combine workouts. That's also the same name that Mike Mayock threw out there earlier this week as a potential fit. Now, they're going to go defense in the draft. They have to go heavy defense in the draft.
The guy that I like in the draft is Tremaine Edmonds from Virginia Tech. Super athletic.
I don't think he'll be there though.
That's the thing, because he's going to test incredibly well at the Combine to the point where the Steelers might not be able to get him. But if I'm the Steelers, I do whatever I can if it's jumping up in the draft to get him, because he has the athleticism of Ryan Shazier. Yeah, I mean, everybody's out there talking that, okay, they can sign Lawrence Timmons, play him with Vince Williams. No, that's not what you want to do. You need another athletic linebacker like Shazier, and I think Edmonds is the closest thing you can get to that.
Yeah, and you know what? Be aggressive with your picks if you have to. I mean, like you said, if you feel that's the best fit for your organization.
The window is closing with this team. They don't have that much longer to be as good as they are. Ben Roethlisberger isn't going to be around for 10 years. The contracts are expiring now. Who knows if Le'Veon Bell will be back next year?
That's the big one, yeah.
There comes a time when you're an NFL general manager, you have to be aggressive and go up and get your guy. And you saw the impact not having Ryan Shazier had on the Steelers' defense in the playoffs. And late in the regular season, a guy like Edmonds, even if you had to jump up into the 11th or 12th pick and give up maybe a future first-rounder, I would do it.
And of their picks in this draft, if we're putting a percentage on it, defense, 80%?
Yeah, I would say so.
I mean, I think you look at that, and I feel like a lot of these teams, you see what your needs are, and if you're the Steelers, you're consistently a contender, so you're always going to be picking toward the back, which, make no doubt, there's a big difference between a top 10 pick and when you get into the 20s, mid-20s, late 20s. So get that best fit, get the best guy available. How we always hear that term this time of year.
They don't have a ton of needs, okay? They need another safety, but and beyond that, get depth guys, and then supplement the roster through free agency, because there are guys that you can get to potentially take a discount to come play for this team because they're going to be loaded next year.
Absolutely, guys want to compete.
That's the one sport their guys are maybe a little bit more willing to take that pay cut because of the salary cap, and of course there aren't a lot of teams that have that chance to win a Super Bowl. So
for sure,
Audrey, it's been fun. We'll do it again sometime soon, and then we'll have more football to talk about. And in spring, obviously,
always
spring practices and
coming
the
up in
spring
March.
game for Penn State and Pitt. So we'll all be talking some Pitt by then as well. So, hey, thank you for your time. Thanks for joining us, Audrey, and we'll see you all next time.
Take care.